So I brought the 200SX back in again temporarily today. Decided to strip the doors out and cut the door skin out before it goes outside for a little while to bring the SLK in. I thought I'd strip a few more parts off and pop on eBay. Parts do seem to be selling for these nowadays, so I can assume that people are actually restoring them rather than just using them for drifting. So try and put some money back out of it again. Got the other side to do. I'll set a time-lapse video for that. I've always gone to extremes with my builds, always have. That seems to be my way of doing things in the past, and it is still so tempting just to chop straight through there and remove the complete inner door skin and framework to leave just the outer skin. But I'm resisting the temptation because it's nice to have a door handle rather than pieces of string and wire and cable ties and various other bodgy contraptions to just activate the door lock. So I'm really going to try and resist the temptation of chopping the whole thing out, making the door super flimsy, and then having to create some kind of bodge just to open the door. I've managed to resist the temptation of chopping this bit out. I've always done it in the past, and like I said, that creates problems with this arrangement, opening the door. I generally come all the way around the outside here and chop the door rubber off, which makes it easier for water to get in when it's raining whilst it's being driven, and wind noise, and the doors don't close properly, they sort of rattle and stuff. So maybe I am learning over the years. Believe me when I say it's been a tough temptation to resist though, because there is quite a lot of material here I could remove. Nope, gotta stop. Must stop. That's the other door cut out, and I have managed to resist the temptation of chopping that upper section out. Nice and tidy, plenty of space for door bars. Obviously I'm going to go out to the door with the door bars when it comes to building the cage. Having an S13 back is really amazing for me. It's almost like having an old friend back. They're so familiar to me. I've had these cars since 1999, always pretty much had one. I've had various different cars over the years, but always 13s. I've had a 14, wasn't such a fan of that. Crashed my green one in 2014, halfway up a mountain road in Budapest, and this is the longest period of time I haven't had an S13. I thought my ownership of these cars was over, in all honesty, how rusty they are and how expensive as well for what they are. I mean, they're not a particularly good car standard. You have to put a lot of work into them to make them decent. Combine that with the cost and the rust issues, and I really didn't think I'd be interested in building another one. But temptation got the better of me, and I found this thing, and off we go again. So yeah, my original competition car, it started off orange, 2011. Then 2012, we had the 3-car Team DoriHero drift team, which was great fun. Christian Lewis won the Pro Championship that year in the R33. I believe I finished 5th that year. The following year the car was black, which was a bit of a disaster. 2 engine failures, and I gave up at round 4. Then decided to go to King of Europe 2015 when the car was green. Got to round 6 of 8. I was 10th overall, which for my first season in that championship, being such a big step up with power and skill of the other drivers, wasn't too bad considering. The following year I built my first green MX-5. I managed to do 8 rounds that season as well. I can only really ever afford 8 of the 10 rounds per year. Just the cost is monumentally expensive travelling across Europe competing. The MX-5 I managed to finish 5th, which for me, again, especially considering first year in a fresh car, mechanical issues along the way, you know, just teething issues. Took me 3 rounds to learn how to set the thing up, because it reacts to setup changes in completely different ways to the old S chassis. I'd love another MX-5 again. The 1J MX-5, so far out of all of my drift cars, has been by far the most competitive, the fastest, the most fun to drive. I think with another season's development on that platform, it would have been a potential championship winning car. The problem is they changed all the rules at the end of that year, so that particular platform was just too small. They wanted the coolant lines outside the car. The only way to do that is dash 20. I'd used stainless welded together. Dash 20 would have cost a lot of money. They needed the side head restraints on the bucket seat. The only type of seat that would fit in the car was a steel frame base mount seat bolted directly to the floor. There wasn't the space for the other style of seats. The subframe became illegal. I'd put a Skyline subframe in the back of it. So, I mean, putting a MX-5 subframe in the back with a different diff would have been an option. But by the time I'd weighed everything up, it's just too expensive, too complicated, so that car had to be broken for parts, unfortunately. So, yeah, I've been sort of struggling to get something together ever since then. But now I've got 2. So that's going to be fun. The SLK is a competition car. It's standard power, but it's all there. Everything is there for competition spec. That potentially again may need a diff upgrade if I go for more power. I think the current kind of thought train with that is a turbocharger, aim for around 400 horsepower. Hopefully the standard 6-speed can keep hold of that level of power. Same with the diff and shafts, and maybe do some competitions next year, depending on how I get on with it. I mean, I've got no idea how the thing is going to drive. It's completely new to me. The seating position is further back. It's a platform that nobody's really used for competitive drifting, so I'm sure we'll discover some issues along the way, but that'll do as a temporary car until this is eventually finished. Like I said before, it's going to be a long project, just purely down to finances. Sort of specification for the car I'm after is top spec, so Wisefab front and rear. I want the Wisefab V2 set up on the front with the rack relocation kit that comes with it. Obviously a decent set of coilovers. I'd like something with separate preload chambers, potentially BCs. Yeah, engine wise, obviously I'm leaning towards JZ again, and that's always been my go-to. I know things inside out, so as far as that's concerned, that'd be no problem building a wiring loom. I know exactly what components work well on them. There's plenty of information out there as well, so you know, it's a simple engine to work with, really. I've had another couple of thoughts as well, but we'll see when we get to that stage. The first thing is to get the chassis all set up, roll cage in, wise fab, fiberglass, get the bodywork done, make it look pretty, and then think about the engine package and driveline from there. I don't think I'm going to go as far as winner's diff because they're just ridiculously expensive. So potentially, I believe you can get a adapter kit from GK Tech now to run a 350Z diff. And again, I believe, don't quote me on this, the 370 shafts fit and they're stronger with a set of Skyline hubs as ours. So I'll have to research that a little bit more. It's been a long time. I mean, my go-to in the past just be a GTR, different shafts, but with them being the price they are nowadays, if there's an alternative that is as strong, saves a little bit of money, that's potentially the way to go. So yeah, I think I'm done with this one for today. Time to get it outside and get the SLK in. Again,